There is a power in silence that too many of us overlook. We are taught from an early age to speak up, to voice our thoughts, to defend ourselves and our ideas. Yet, the most profound moments of growth, clarity, and influence often come not from what we say, but from what we choose not to say. Silence is not emptiness. It is a space filled with possibility, a pause that allows reflection, understanding, and strategy to emerge. Learning to stay silent in certain situations is not a weakness. It is an act of courage, a demonstration of self-control, and a pathway to wisdom that few dare to walk. When faced with conflict, our instinct is often to react immediately. Words rush out, fueled by emotion, and in that instant, we lose control of the narrative. The person who masters silence understands that the first response is rarely the best response. They know that by taking a moment to breathe, to process, to observe, they gain a vantage point that others cannot see. Silence allows us to listen, not just to the words spoken, but to the intentions, fears, and desires behind them. It gives us the power to choose our words with precision rather than fall victim to impulse. In moments of criticism, silence can be transformative. When someone attacks our ideas, our character, or our choices, our immediate reaction might be to defend ourselves, to justify, to counterattack. Yet, when we pause and allow silence to do its work, we give ourselves the chance to absorb, understand, and respond thoughtfully. Silence does not mean submission, it means strategy. It is the quiet acknowledgement that not every battle is ours to fight, and that wisdom often lies in knowing which battles to engage and which to let pass. Silence is equally important in times of triumph. The world often celebrates those who loudly proclaim their success, but there is a deeper strength in humility. To remain composed, to resist the urge to boast, to let actions speak louder than words. This is the mark of a leader who understands that influence grows through restraint. When we master the art of staying silent in moments of achievement, we create space for reflection, gratitude, and preparation for the next challenge. The world takes notice of confidence that is quiet, calm, and assured. In conversations where emotions run high, silence can act as a bridge rather than a barrier. When anger, fear, or frustration fills the room, words can escalate tension. A deliberate pause can prevent chaos. It allows the conversation to settle, emotions to normalize, and reasoning to emerge. By choosing silence in these critical moments, we show respect not only for others, but for ourselves. We demonstrate that our focus is on understanding rather than proving, on connection rather than domination, on solutions rather than arguments. Silence also teaches us to listen deeply. In a culture where everyone is eager to be heard, few people truly know how to listen. When we embrace silence, we give ourselves the gift of understanding perspectives that differ from our own. We uncover truths that are hidden beneath the surface noise, we detect subtleties in tone, and we absorb wisdom that is often invisible in the rush of conversation. Listening without interruption is not passive. It is an active pursuit of insight, empathy, and clarity that can transform relationships and decisions alike. In professional settings, silence is a tool of strategic influence. Leaders who speak less but with purpose command attention. Teams that cultivate quiet reflection before action produce stronger, more thoughtful results. The person who rushes to fill every silence may be heard immediately, but they rarely leave a lasting impact. Silence, when wielded intentionally, communicates confidence, discernment, and authority. It allows ideas to breathe, fosters collaboration, and encourages others to step forward with their own contributions. Even in personal relationships, silence can carry profound meaning. It is often in the quiet moments that bonds deepen, trust solidifies, and understanding grows. Silence allows space for vulnerability without pressure, for emotion without reaction, for connection without judgment. It teaches patience, empathy, and the ability to hold space for someone else's experience without rushing to solve, explain, or correct. Learning when to remain silent in relationships is an exercise in respect and love. It is the ultimate acknowledgement that we do not need to control every moment to be fully present. The power of silence extends beyond interactions with others. It is equally vital in our inner lives. In a world constantly demanding our attention, inundated with noise and distraction, silence becomes a sanctuary. It allows us to think, to process, to dream, and to align our actions with our values. Without silence, clarity is impossible, and decisions are made hastily, often at the expense of our integrity. The practice of quieting the mind, of resisting the urge to react impulsively, cultivates patience, resilience, and self-awareness that can transform every area of life. Mastering silence is not about avoidance, it is about choice. It is about recognizing that in certain moments, restraint is more powerful than reaction, observation more valuable than interruption, and reflection more influential than expression. It is about stepping back, allowing the world to reveal its truths, and choosing when our voice will have the most impact. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the conscious application of it. The more we learn to embrace it, the more control, insight, and influence we cultivate. There is an art in silence, a subtle strength that few recognize but everyone can harness. We are conditioned to believe that success is measured by how loudly we assert ourselves, by how quickly we respond, by how persistent our voice can be in every situation. Yet, true influence often lies in restraint, in the ability to hold back, to observe, to let the world speak before we interject. Silence is not emptiness. It is a deliberate choice, a conscious decision to act with awareness rather than impulse. It is the foundation of patience, the soil from which clarity grows, and the source of quiet power that commands attention without shouting. In moments of confrontation, silence is often the most powerful response. When someone provokes us, challenges our ideas, or questions our integrity, the instinct is to react immediately. Words fly, defenses rise, and emotions take over. But those who master the art of silence understand that reactions are fleeting while reflection endures. They take a breath, they pause, and in that space they gain perspective. They observe the situation, analyze motivations, and consider the consequences. By remaining silent, they are not weak, they are deliberate, strategic, and in control of both their emotions and the narrative. Silence can be a shield in the face of criticism. When our decisions are scrutinized or our character questioned, the immediate desire is to explain, defend, or justify. Yet, the person who pauses and embraces silence finds a different kind of strength. They recognize that not every opinion requires a response, not every attack demands a defense, and that sometimes the most convincing argument is the absence of words. Silence allows us to absorb feedback, filter it, and respond with intentionality rather than reaction. It is a subtle form of influence that communicates confidence, composure, and wisdom. In moments of success, silence carries a distinct power. While the world celebrates loud proclamations and visible displays of achievement, there is a deeper resonance in quiet confidence. Those who choose to remain humble, who resist the urge to boast, allow their accomplishments to speak for themselves. Silence in triumph demonstrates maturity and foresight. It shows that recognition is not sought for validation, but that success is a reflection of consistent effort, discipline, and vision. It is a statement that presence, impact, and legacy are built over time, not through immediate applause. When emotions run high, silence becomes a bridge rather than a barrier. In heated discussions, arguments, or moments of tension, words can escalate conflict instead of resolving it. By choosing silence, we create space for clarity to emerge, for tempers to cool, and for understanding to take root. Silence conveys self-mastery. It signals that we are listening, that we are weighing options, and that we are more concerned with the outcome than with proving a point. It allows conversations to progress thoughtfully and relationships to survive the pressures of misunderstanding. Silence cultivates deep listening. In a world obsessed with being heard, few know how to truly listen. Silence is not passive, it is an active engagement with what is being said and with what remains unsaid. It enables us to detect nuances, emotions, and intentions that might otherwise be missed. By choosing to listen first, we demonstrate empathy, patience, and respect. We allow ideas to form fully in their own time, and we give ourselves the opportunity to respond with insight rather than reflex. The quieter we become, the more we learn about the world, the people around us, and ourselves. In professional environments, silence is a tool of strategic advantage. Leaders who speak only when necessary inspire more trust than those who speak constantly. Teams that embrace reflection before reaction produce stronger, more thoughtful outcomes. The person who rushes to fill every gap with words may be immediately noticed, but they rarely leave a lasting impression. Silence, when wielded with intention, communicates authority, discernment, and patience. It allows ideas to breathe, encourages collaboration, and empowers others to contribute their best insights without being overshadowed. Silence can be transformative in personal relationships as well. It creates space for understanding, empathy, and connection. In moments of conflict or vulnerability, it allows us to hold space for others without the pressure of immediate solutions or judgments. It fosters trust because it shows we are willing to be present without needing to dominate or control the conversation. By embracing silence, we cultivate patience, compassion, and the ability to truly engage with someone on a deeper level, listening not just to their words, but to their heart. Silence also nurtures our inner lives. In a culture of constant noise and distraction, it provides a sanctuary where thought, reflection, and self-awareness can flourish. Without silence, our minds are clouded, our choices are reactive, and our sense of purpose becomes diluted. Silence allows us to think clearly, to align our actions with our values, and to respond to life with intentionality rather than impulse. It is in silence that we confront our fears, clarify our goals, and summon the resilience required to navigate challenges with integrity. Mastering silence is about choice, not avoidance. It is the recognition that restraint can be more powerful than reaction, that observation can be more enlightening than expression, and that reflection often surpasses immediate action. Silence is not an absence of influence. It is a deliberate application of it. When we learn to pause, to listen, and to speak only when our words carry weight, we unlock a force within ourselves that shapes outcomes, nurtures understanding, and strengthens every aspect of our lives. There is a strength in silence that few truly understand, yet it is one of the most powerful tools a person can possess. We live in a world that rewards noise, constant input, and instant reactions. We are conditioned to speak quickly, to respond before thinking, and to fill every gap with our voice. But the truth is, mastery often lies not in what we say, but in what we choose not to say. Silence is a deliberate act, a conscious decision to pause, to observe, and to hold space for wisdom to emerge. It is a quiet power that commands respect without aggression, a force that builds influence without needing to assert itself loudly. When we encounter conflict, silence becomes a shield and a strategy. Our natural instincts push us to defend, argue, or prove ourselves right. Words spill out, fueled by emotion, often leaving consequences that we regret. The person who has learned the value of silence understands that the first reaction is rarely the most effective. By taking a moment to pause, to breathe, and to assess the situation, they gain a perspective that others miss. Silence allows them to listen to the undercurrents, to understand motives, and to craft responses that are measured, precise, and meaningful. Silence transforms the way we handle criticism. When someone challenges us, questions our judgment, or undermines our decisions, the temptation to respond immediately is strong. Yet, those who pause before replying recognize that not all criticism demands a reaction. Silence gives the mind the space to process, the heart the ability to settle, and the spirit the chance to discern what is valuable and what can be ignored. It communicates strength, self-control, and confidence, signaling that we are secure enough not to be shaken by every external opinion. In moments of achievement, silence carries a subtle but powerful authority. While many rush to proclaim their victories, to celebrate loudly, or to boast, those who choose silence allow their accomplishments to speak for themselves. Quiet confidence demonstrates maturity, restraint, and perspective. It shows that success is not about recognition, but about discipline, consistency, and purpose. Those who speak sparingly in their triumphs often earn more respect than those who speak excessively, because their silence communicates clarity, integrity, and a long-term vision. When emotions escalate, silence serves as a stabilizing force. Anger, frustration, and fear can push conversations into chaos if unchecked. Choosing to remain silent in these moments allows the environment to calm, emotions to settle, and reason to prevail. It is not avoidance, it is deliberate presence. Silence demonstrates the ability to hold space for others, to resist the need for immediate resolution, and to prioritize understanding over winning. It is a tool that fosters connection, encourages reflection, and prevents harm that might arise from impulsive words. Silence cultivates listening on a profound level. In a culture that prizes speaking over hearing, those who master silence gain a rare advantage, the ability to truly understand. Listening without interruption reveals hidden truths, uncovers intentions, and strengthens relationships. It shows empathy, patience, and respect. When we allow others to speak without rushing to respond, we not only gain insight into their perspective, but we also discover more about ourselves, our assumptions, and our responses. Silence is a space where understanding grows, trust deepens, and clarity emerges. In professional life, silence is a tool of influence and leadership. Leaders who speak judiciously inspire confidence, while those who speak constantly often dilute their impact. Teams that practice reflection before action generate better results, make stronger decisions, and foster collaboration. Silence allows ideas to mature, encourages participation from others, and communicates authority without arrogance. Those who rush to fill every gap with words may be heard immediately, but their messages rarely resonate. True leadership is often demonstrated in the pauses, the moments of careful observation, and the restraint to speak only when it matters most. Silence enriches personal relationships in ways that words often cannot. It allows us to be fully present with others, to honor their experiences, and to respond from a place of thoughtfulness rather than impulse. It creates room for vulnerability, trust, and connection. When we resist the urge to fill every moment with our voice, we communicate respect, empathy, and patience. Silence can provide the space needed for someone to process, reflect, and feel understood, building bonds that endure far beyond surface-level conversation. Silence is equally vital within ourselves. In a world saturated with noise, distractions, and constant demands, it provides a sanctuary for thought, reflection, and personal growth. It allows us to evaluate our actions, clarify our values, and align our choices with our deepest priorities. Without silence, our minds become cluttered, our decisions reactive, and our focus fragmented. By embracing quiet moments, we gain insight, resilience, and the ability to navigate life with intentionality and purpose. Silence nurtures patience, strengthens character, and cultivates a perspective that can transform challenges into opportunities. Mastering silence is a choice that requires discipline and awareness. It is the recognition that restraint can be more powerful than expression, observation more valuable than reaction, and reflection more meaningful than impulse. Silence is not a void, it is an instrument of influence, clarity, and strength. It allows us to respond rather than react, to understand rather than assume, and to act from a place of intention rather than habit. Those who embrace the power of silence discover a force within themselves that amplifies their presence, sharpens their judgment, and deepens their impact on the world. There is a profound strength in silence, a force so subtle that many fail to recognize it, yet its impact is undeniable. In a world that glorifies constant communication, instant reactions, and the loudest voices, choosing to remain quiet can feel counterintuitive. Yet those who understand its power know that silence is not the absence of action. It is a deliberate pause, a moment of reflection, and a demonstration of self-mastery. It is the space where clarity emerges, where decisions are refined, and where true influence begins. Silence is a skill, a discipline, and a tool that transforms how we navigate life, relationships, and challenges. When we are confronted with confrontation, silence becomes an ally. Our instincts push us to speak first, defend ourselves, and assert our perspective, but immediate reactions rarely serve us well. Those who embrace silence understand that a pause allows observation, comprehension, and strategy to develop. By refraining from speaking immediately, they gain insight into motives, emotions, and underlying truths that might otherwise remain hidden. Silence allows them to respond with precision, rather than being carried away by the intensity of the moment, transforming what could have been a conflict into an opportunity for understanding. Criticism, when met with silence, reveals a unique form of strength. We often feel compelled to justify, explain, or defend ourselves when others question our choices or character. Yet by resisting the urge to react immediately, we open a space for reflection and discernment. Silence allows us to filter feedback, recognize constructive insights, and let go of unnecessary judgments. It communicates confidence and resilience, showing that our self-worth is not dictated by every opinion or challenge. Silence in the face of criticism is not surrender. It is the conscious exercise of power, patience, and self-awareness. In moments of accomplishment, silence carries an understated authority. Many feel compelled to announce success loudly, to seek recognition, or to display triumphs for validation. Yet those who remain quiet during their victories convey a deeper confidence and self-assurance. Their accomplishments speak louder than words, and their restraint communicates maturity and integrity. Silence in triumph reflects focus, discipline, and an understanding that true success is built over time, not through fleeting accolades. It allows space for humility, reflection, and preparation for the challenges yet to come. Emotions often cloud judgment, and in these moments, silence can serve as a stabilizing force. Anger, fear, and frustration have the power to escalate situations if unchecked, leading to consequences that may be irreversible. By choosing silence, we create a buffer, allowing ourselves and others to regain composure. It is not avoidance, it is intentional restraint. Silence demonstrates respect, maturity, and patience. It encourages thoughtful communication, prevents unnecessary escalation, and fosters environments where collaboration and understanding can emerge even in the midst of tension. Deep listening is only possible in silence. In a society obsessed with being heard, few take the time to truly understand. When we pause, when we refrain from filling every space with our own voice, we gain the ability to hear more than just words. We detect subtleties, uncover hidden emotions, and understand the perspectives of others in ways that words alone cannot convey. Silence enhances empathy, strengthens relationships, and deepens our understanding of the human experience. It is in these quiet moments that insight, wisdom, and connection flourish. In professional settings, silence becomes a strategic advantage. Leaders who speak selectively inspire trust and respect, while those who constantly fill the room with words risk diminishing their influence. Teams that embrace reflection before action produce higher quality decisions, stronger collaboration, and more thoughtful outcomes. Silence allows ideas to develop fully, encourages others to contribute meaningfully, and communicates authority without dominance. It teaches that influence is not measured by volume, but by discernment, patience, and the ability to act when it truly matters. Personal relationships are profoundly strengthened by the power of silence. In moments of conflict, vulnerability, or deep conversation, silence allows space for reflection, emotional processing, and genuine connection. It communicates that we are present, attentive, and patient, without rushing to control or direct the interaction. Silence provides an opportunity for trust to deepen, for understanding to grow, and for empathy to be expressed without words. It is a reminder that connection is not built on constant speech, but on the ability to hold space for others fully and authentically. Within ourselves, silence becomes a source of renewal and clarity. In a culture saturated with distractions, noise, and relentless input, quiet moments allow us to think, reflect, and align our choices with our values. Silence provides perspective, enabling us to assess challenges, set intentions, and navigate our path with purpose. Without silence, we risk acting impulsively, reacting without thought, and losing sight of our priorities. It nurtures self-awareness, resilience, and the ability to respond to life with intention rather than habit. The mastery of silence is a conscious practice that transforms every aspect of our lives. It is the recognition that restraint can be more powerful than reaction, observation more insightful than expression, and reflection more valuable than impulse. Silence is not a void. It is a tool of influence, clarity, and strength. By embracing silence, we cultivate presence, wisdom, and discernment, allowing our actions, decisions, and words to carry deeper impact. The more we understand the power of silence, the more effectively we navigate challenges, connect with others, and shape the life we aspire to live. Silence is one of the most underestimated powers in life, yet it holds a force that can transform how we think, act, and connect with the world. We are raised to speak, to express, to be heard, and to respond instantly, yet in many moments, restraint is the truest measure of strength. Choosing silence is not weakness, it is a deliberate act of awareness, a decision to pause, observe, and reflect before reacting. In the quiet, we discover clarity that words alone cannot provide. Silence is the canvas where thought becomes deliberate, influence becomes intentional, and our presence speaks louder than any argument ever could. When faced with confrontation, silence becomes a strategic advantage. The instinct to speak immediately, to defend ourselves, or to assert our perspective is natural, but reactive words often escalate tension rather than resolve it. Those who master the art of silence understand that pausing creates space for understanding, analysis, and deliberate action. By listening first, observing closely, and refraining from impulsive responses, they gain insight into underlying motives and emotions. Silence in these moments allows decisions to be made with clarity and foresight, transforming conflict into opportunity rather than chaos. Criticism is another moment where silence reveals its power. When someone questions our choices, challenges our decisions, or doubts our abilities, the urge to respond defensively can feel overwhelming. Yet by choosing silence, we allow ourselves to process what is said, distinguish between constructive feedback and unnecessary negativity, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Silence demonstrates confidence and emotional intelligence. signaling that our self-worth does not depend on external approval. It is the subtle assertion that we are grounded, measured, and capable of responding when it truly matters. In moments of success, silence carries its own weight. The world often celebrates those who proclaim victory loudly, yet those who remain quiet demonstrate a more enduring form of strength. By refraining from boasting, we allow our actions to speak for themselves, showing humility and grace in equal measure. Silence during triumph conveys maturity, confidence, and perspective. It reflects an understanding that true achievement is not for applause, but for the lasting impact it leaves. Those who master quiet confidence inspire respect, and their presence is felt more profoundly than words ever could. Emotional moments often demand careful management, and silence can be the stabilizing force that prevents rash decisions. Anger, frustration, or fear can cloud judgment and push interactions toward outcomes we may later regret. By choosing silence, we give ourselves and others the space to regain composure, evaluate the situation, and respond thoughtfully. Silence in emotional intensity is not passivity. It is patience, discipline, and a refusal to let impulse dictate outcomes. It creates opportunities for resolution, understanding, and connection that might otherwise be lost to reaction. Silence enhances our ability to truly listen. In a world that prizes speaking over understanding, those who embrace quiet gain a rare advantage, the capacity to hear what is often unsaid. They notice subtleties in tone, hidden motivations, and unspoken emotions. Silence allows for deeper empathy, enabling connections that are rooted in understanding rather than assumption. By listening fully before responding, we absorb insights that shape wiser decisions, stronger relationships, and a broader perspective. The quieter we become, the more clearly the world reveals itself to us. In professional environments, silence is a measure of influence and leadership. Leaders who speak sparingly, with precision and intent, inspire trust and confidence, while those who fill every moment with words risk diluting their impact. Teams that pause to reflect before acting generate better outcomes, foster collaboration, and develop stronger strategies. Silence allows ideas to breathe, encourages meaningful contribution from others, and communicates authority without intimidation. It is a tool that ensures every word carries weight and every action is deliberate. Personal relationships benefit immeasurably from the practice of silence. In intimate, familial, or friendly interactions, silence allows space for reflection, empathy, and emotional processing. It communicates presence, patience, and attentiveness. When we resist the urge to speak unnecessarily, we create room for others to express themselves fully, for trust to deepen, and for understanding to grow. Silence fosters connections that are authentic, resilient, and grounded in respect rather than constant validation. Our inner lives thrive in silence as well. In the constant noise of modern existence, moments of quiet allow us to process, reflect, and center ourselves. Silence nurtures self-awareness, clarity, and alignment with our values. It offers perspective on challenges, enables better decision-making, and cultivates patience and resilience. By stepping away from constant input, we strengthen our capacity for intentional living, ensuring that our actions are guided by purpose rather than distraction. Mastering silence is a practice of choice and discipline. It requires us to resist the instinct to fill every space with words, to pause before reacting, and to value observation over immediate expression. Silence is not emptiness. It is power, influence, and clarity in motion. It allows us to act with intention, listen with understanding, and connect with authenticity. The more we embrace silence, the more it shapes our presence, sharpens our judgment, and magnifies our impact in every aspect of life. There is an incredible force in silence, one that is often misunderstood or dismissed in a world obsessed with noise, instant reactions, and constant communication. From the moment we are born, we are encouraged to speak, to express ourselves, to be seen and heard. Yet the most profound influence often comes not from what we say, but from what we choose not to say. Silence is not an absence, it is a presence, a deliberate choice to pause, observe, and allow clarity to emerge. It is a tool of wisdom, a measure of self-control, and a foundation upon which thoughtful action and meaningful connection are built. When confronted with conflict, silence is more than restraint. It is strategy. Our instincts push us to respond quickly, defend ourselves, or assert our perspective, but reactive words rarely produce the outcomes we desire. Those who practice the power of silence understand that pausing gives them a vantage point others miss. They can observe body language, listen to tone, and perceive underlying motivations that are invisible in the heat of immediate reaction. Silence creates space for calculated action, turning potential escalation into an opportunity for understanding, influence, and resolution. Criticism, whether fair or unjust, is another situation where silence demonstrates strength. When challenged, the impulse to defend ourselves is strong, yet words spoken in the heat of the moment often undermine our credibility. By choosing silence, we allow ourselves to process what is said, distinguish between insight and noise, and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Silence conveys confidence and composure, signaling that our value is not defined by every opinion or judgment. It is in these moments that silence becomes a declaration of inner strength, emotional intelligence, and clarity of purpose. In moments of success, silence communicates more than words ever could. The world encourages celebration and proclamation, yet those who remain calm and understated in their victories reveal a deeper mastery. By resisting the urge to boast or seek validation, they allow their actions to speak, demonstrating humility, confidence, and long-term vision. Silence in triumph signals awareness that real achievement is measured not by applause, but by consistent effort, thoughtful decision-making, and the lasting impact of our actions. It is in these quiet moments that true respect is earned. Emotions can be volatile, and in these instances, silence is a stabilizing force. Anger, fear, and frustration push conversations toward unpredictability, and words spoken impulsively can leave consequences that cannot be undone. Choosing silence in such moments allows space for reflection, calm, and discernment. It is not avoidance, it is self-mastery. Silence demonstrates restraint, patience, and empathy, showing a commitment to understanding rather than proving, to connection rather than domination, and to solutions rather than blame. Silence is also the gateway to deep listening. In a society that prizes speaking over hearing, those who embrace quiet gain a rare advantage, the ability to understand more fully. By listening without interruption, we detect nuance, hidden emotion, and unspoken intention. Silence cultivates empathy, strengthens relationships, and allows us to absorb insights that might otherwise be missed. When we choose to listen before responding, we create an environment of trust, respect, and collaboration, where ideas and perspectives are not only heard but understood. In professional life, silence becomes an instrument of influence. Leaders who speak with intention, and only when necessary, inspire confidence and trust, while those who fill every moment with words risk diminishing their impact. Teams that pause to reflect before acting generate stronger decisions, more meaningful collaboration, and innovative solutions. Silence allows ideas to evolve fully, encourages contributions from others, and communicates authority without aggression. It is a reminder that power is not in volume, but in the weight and timing of our words. In personal relationships, silence strengthens connection. It allows space for reflection, emotional processing, and authenticity. When we refrain from speaking impulsively, we create room for others to express themselves fully, fostering understanding and trust. Silence demonstrates patience and respect, providing the conditions for relationships to flourish. It is in these quiet moments that empathy, presence, and intimacy deepen, revealing the true power of listening without interruption or judgment. Within ourselves, silence nurtures clarity, perspective, and growth. In a world saturated with noise, distractions, and competing priorities, quiet moments allow us to process, reflect, and realign with our values. Silence fosters self-awareness, patience, and resilience, equipping us to navigate challenges intentionally rather than reactively. It provides the mental space to make considered choices, evaluate priorities, and pursue goals with focus and integrity. In embracing silence, we cultivate a sanctuary for thought, insight, and purpose that cannot be replicated by words alone. Mastering silence is a practice of conscious choice. It requires resisting the urge to speak impulsively, pausing before reacting, and valuing observation over expression. Silence is not emptiness, it is power, presence, and clarity in action. It allows us to respond rather than react, understand rather than assume, and act with purpose rather than habit. The more we embrace the discipline of silence, the more we strengthen our influence, deepen our relationships, sharpen our judgment, and amplify the impact of every word, thought, and action in our lives.